You're listening to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host, if he ever shows up again, Eric Wilson. Unfortunately, Eric is out sick today, so he's not going to be on the show again this week. So I'm doing the show solo. We have a couple of great guests that are going to be on the show. We have John Stagnone, is from the Friends of the State Theater in Stoughton, Mass. They are revitalizing they're trying to revitalize the theater, and it's going to be a kind of I think it's a new thing that's happening all around the country. They're trying to revitalize these old theaters and bring back the downtown areas in these small towns that people just let them go. But John is going to come on. He's going to talk a little bit about that. We also have John Peckham. He is the founder and the CEO of Peckham Boston Advisors LLC. It was originally the Data Realty Corp, which grew into the New England's largest income property brokerage firm. And he'll be on the second half of the show. We're going to be doing an interview with John. And last week we were talking about the DONO area in the city of Hartford, Connecticut. This is the North Hartford downtown area. It's called DONO, and they are trying to revitalize that area. And this is a great opportunity for developers to get in on the ground floor. So I would say, if you're interested in finding out more about DONO, well, you can listen to last week's show, or you can wait until next month. We're going to have someone from the city of Hartford talk about that area again and some of the other things that are going on in the Hartford area that make it an attractive opportunity for developers or investors. And last week, I don't think we went to any events, but there is a big event coming up, March 20th, and that is going to be at Mr. Sid, and it's going to have an open bar. They're also going to have some of the fashions that are trending for men in business, and we plan on it. It sounds like, it doesn't sound like, I know it's going to be a great event. So if you're interested in signing up, contact us at radio at NEREJ.com. I'm a little confused today. Actually, I'm always confused. I don't know why today is a little different. But the show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And when we come back, we're going to talk with John Stagnone from the State Theater in Stoughton, Mass. The revitalization of the State Theater in Stoughton, Mass. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. Rick Kaplan on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan, and without my co-host Eric Wilson today. And our interview today with John Stagnone of the Stoughton State Theater. Is that what it's called, John?
Stoughton? It's Friends of the State Theater.
Friends of the State Theater is brought to you by Goodman, Shapiro, and Lombardi, attorneys who have been exclusively engaged in the practice of condominium law for over 30 years. They have offices in Dedham, Mass. and Lincoln, Rhode Island, dedicated to serving a growing southern New England condo market. Attorneys Frank Lombardi heads the Rhode Island office. If you need guidance about anything condo, Goodman, Shapiro, and Lombardi are the right attorneys to call before the wrong things happen. You can reach attorney Frank Lombardi toll-free at 877-241-1600 or on the web at goshlaw.com. That's GOSHLAW.com. Again, that's 877-241-1600 or on the web at goshlaw.com. That's GOSHLAW.com. And we have on the phone with us John Stagnone of Friends of the State Theater in Stoughton, Mass. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Rick, and thanks for having us on.
Well, it's an interesting topic, and one of the things that I did look up before the interview is that this is something that's going around the whole country to revitalize the downtown areas in these small towns. I'm sure you're probably familiar with that.
Yeah, it's that's one of the things that we've noticed as well is that these are crucial components to downtowns that have seen were hit kind of hard by the economy downturn and things. But the historic factors and people wanting to go see live entertainment and things is still vibrant, and we're looking to do that here in Stoughton.
So the theater is not being looked at as bringing in these feature films anymore. They're looking at it to bring in live talent.
Yeah, we're going to be looking to do a multicultural center for Stoughton. So we'll be looking at live entertainment as well as stand-up comedy, some bands. We'll be doing some movies, probably some independent movies and some of the old classics and things like that. But also open it up to to live theaters, from local theater groups and hopefully some a little bit higher up than local theater groups as far as performances go. And, it's just a good mix. And then also, open it up for some other nonprofits to come in and hopefully do some fundraisers like to save out the library or support our library organization in Stoughton. They do theater productions the last couple of years to raise some funds. So we're trying to open it up for everybody and for the benefit of the community.
Now, John, how long has this Stoughton Theater been empty?
It's been empty about 7 years now. It was built in 1927, so it's over 80 years of running before it closed its doors.
So it's just been empty. There's nothing else that has been going on there for that 7 years, or did they use it on frequent occasions?
No, the building is not usable at this point. One of the main reasons it ended up closing was the new sprinkler laws. Amongst some other things, but it needs a good a lot of work or whatever. At this point, being closed up has not been kind to it, I should say.
So, how much work do you think is involved in getting this place up and running and opening the doors?
Currently, our estimates are going to be somewhere between $4 million to $5 million just for the renovations and all the improvements. So that's to bring it up to code. And then what we've done is purchased the original blueprints from the state archives, and we're going to try to really bring back what it was back in 1927 when it first opens its doors.
So when you finish this whole project, you want this theater to almost look the way it looked in the day that it originally opened. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's our goal. If we can raise as much of the funds as we can, if we can raise the funds to do this, that's the ultimate goal: is to bring back the marquee to the original designs as well as the interior. It's amazing what they did back in the day. With the technology, we can do just a lot more with it.
Actually, I have been in the theater, and I've seen some of the designs and some of the artwork that they have put into the building of that theater. I mean, it's really nice. It's classic, that era, I guess. So that's all it wants to you want that to stay.
Exactly. Like I said, with the original blueprints, we just recently hired a preservation architect firm, Wilson and Butler Architects here in Boston, and they came out and met with the committee, and they gave us a nice history lesson and really educated us on the type of theaters back in the day and why certain things were done the way they were. And when they really brought it around, you could really get a sense of the way it was back in the day. And by bringing that back, it's just going to bring a lot of character to the building, and we think it's going to that'll be make it a destination place for the downtown Stoughton, and really help us revitalize the downtown. And that's the second piece of this project is preserve the theater and then revitalize the downtown at the same time.
Well, I can see that happening because if you get that theater up and running, now you're going to create an area that restaurants would want to go, smaller boutiques that would want to open up, things like that, bakeries, coffee shops, and I can see all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And, we did have a couple of people already inquiring, to the status of the theater and where we're at because they are interested in the downtown. And, so there is an interest for businesses to move to the downtown, but they also see the theater as being, a good linchpin in supporting their business as well. And we're going to be looking to collaborate with, hopefully, any businesses that are in the downtown already and any new businesses, and try to promote them and, work together in promoting a nice energy down in the downtown.
And obviously the owner of the building, C&V Investment Realty Trust, they see there's a potential here as well because they're giving you some incredible deal on this. Isn't that true?
Yeah, actually, the owners, are really... They bought the building originally because of the theater, and unfortunately, the renovation costs were just out of the reach of being able to go borrow the money and to make it happen and bring it, and actually to preserve the building back to its history. Obviously, anytime you do that, the costs are just it adds a lot of cost to the project itself. So we've worked a deal with them, and we approached them with an offer, and yeah, we have a 30-year lease with them. 20 years is rent-free. We have a 10-year option for an additional 10 years for a total of 40 years. But we also have an option to purchase, and ultimately we would like to purchase the theater and maybe even the block that they own.
So now, the money that would come in, there's obviously some grant money, is probably historical funding that is available to this. Is that correct?
Yeah, a few things we're pursuing is we just recently received an approval or support from the local Community Preservation Committee for a $500,000 matching grant. We're in the process of filing for a Mass Cultural Facilities Fund grant. So that's due March 7th. That's in progress. And then, like I said, we hired Wilson and Butler Architects to do some paintings for us and some conceptual drawings of a floor plan. So we have a lot of things going on, and then also purchasing the building opens up an opportunity for us. The theater happens to be in an eligible area for new market tax credits, as well as we'd be eligible for historical tax credits, which could bring, net us over $2 million, with those.
Right. So would you be looking for investors to invest in this project, or would you be looking for developers to come in and try to help you develop this project? What kind of people are you really looking for to support it?
Right. Yeah, right. The thing we've been really focusing on now is fundraising and trying to raise the money, whether it's by donations or if there's a partnership that could be had out there. We could, we're open to talk to anybody out there as far as doing partnerships. But ultimately, our goal is to raise all the funds through donations, through different private foundations and things, which would help us be more sustainable, whether we're still renting the building or not at zero rent. It gives us a lot of leverage to be successful at doing this. And when you look at 20 years no rent and at the market rate, the landlord has given up over $2 million over those 20 years in potential market rate rents. So so he's significantly making an investment in the community as well.
Now that's interesting. You might want to contact one of our past guests. That was Bill Cummings of the Cummings Foundation. They own Cummings property, They do a lot of funding for projects like that. I'm not sure what areas they would go into, but that's something that fits right in their foundation, what they do. So I mean that would be a good project for them, I would think.
Yeah, we'll look into them and see if this is something that's in their wheelhouse.
Now, if someone can go to your website, which is statetheater.us, is that right?
Yes. Yep, and theater being RE. Yep.
And also Friends of the State Theater on Facebook, right?
Yes, and we're using all the we're using social media as well as the website to keep people up to date. And and try to get them engaged in things. And we just past Monday had a public forum, and which went very well. We had a good attendance, and we're trying to get a sense of what people would like to see for entertainment and shows, and what they would like to see in the facilities itself, as far as that would attract them. So the answers were interesting to find out, and it's going to help guide us through this project. So it's great to have everybody's input.
And if someone wanted to talk to you, John, or send you an email, most likely that's how they would get in touch with you. What would that even? Is it? No, go ahead.
My email address.
Yeah.
It's john@statetheater.us.
Okay. Well, appreciate you coming on, John, and I hope that some of our listeners have an interest in the theater and the downtown area in Stoughton, because I think it would be a great project and a great attraction for the area. And hopefully you get some calls, or emails, I should say.
Yeah, no, Rick, we appreciate you being able to come on the show and talk about our project. We're excited, and if there's any of your listeners are out there that think they might be interested or could be of some assistance to us, we'd love to talk to them.
Well, thank you again, John. And as a former Stoughton resident, I hold it dear to my heart as well. So, I hope everything goes well. I hope we can get this place up and running, and I'll be one of the first people to go see the shows there.
Yeah, and we, hopefully we'll be able to have you and you do a show from within the theater someday.
Yeah, actually, we might do that once it's up and running and the project starts going. We love to come out there and do the show. Great idea.
Oh. Great. Thanks, Rick, again, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, thank you, John. And that was John Stagnone from the Friends of the State Theater in Stoughton, Mass. And if you want to get in touch with John, you can go to john@statetheater.us. And the segment, I almost forgot to give our sponsor their plug. Goodman, Shapiro, and Lombardi. Attorneys have been exclusively engaged in the practice of condominium law for over 30 years. They have offices in Dedham, Mass. and Lincoln, Rhode Island, dedicated to a serving growing southern New England condo market. Attorney Frank Lombardi heads the Rhode Island office. If you need guidance about anything condo, Goodman, Shapiro, and Lombardi are the right attorneys to call before the wrong things happen. You can reach Attorney Frank Lombardi toll-free at 877-241-1600 or on the web at goshlaw.com. That's GOSHLAW.com. Again, that's 877-241-1600 or on the web at goshlaw.com. That's GOSHLAW.com. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. New England Real Estate Journal Radio.
And we're back on the New England Real Estate Journal radio show. I'm Rick Kaplan with my lost co-host, Eric Wilson, who's out sick today. And we don't know where he is. He's probably in, I don't want to say whose house he's at. A single guy like that, he's going to need someone to take care of him. So we don't know where he ended up with his cold. But our second interview today is brought to you by Command Security Corporation. is the nation's most trusted and experienced provider of affordable contract security services. Command Security Corporation offers offices nationwide and operations at numerous major international airports. They provide complete, customized, and cost-effective security solutions for industries, businesses, institutions, and organizations of all sizes. To find out how Command Security Corporation can solve your security needs, contact John Dunleavy at 800-791-9102 or go to commandsecurity.com. That's John Dunleavy at 800-791-9102 or go to commandsecurity.com. And you know, I have Jack Peckham on the phone from, he's the founder and CEO of Peckham Boston Advisor LLC. And before we came on, he was telling me about having a hoarse throat and something that he found on the internet that could help that. And I'm just reading through this thing, and now I'm getting like a frog in my throat. I don't know, is that psychological that you put that in my head, Jack?
No, I hope not. Rick. Great to be with you, and I hate to set you off on that.
That's okay. No. So, Jack, tell us a little bit about Peckham Boston Advisors and what it actually does.
Well, Rick, I founded a company called Data Realty Corp when most of your listeners were probably in knickers or weren't even born. This was back in 1962. And our premise when we started it was that you could use technology to match investors with investments. And there were no desktop computers or PCs or anything like that at the time. And as a matter of fact, Bill Gates and Paul Allen were in knickers at the time, too. They were in high school. But we were using an old IBM key punch and sorter, where you punched holes in the cards and then the sorter matched them. And then we'd go over to the file when someone was looking for a shopping center, and the cards that came through the sorter would have a file number on it. We'd lay the files down in front of the investor and say, here's your property. That was 51 years ago. And since then, we built that to be, it was at the time, the largest income property brokerage firm in New England. And we sold well over $1 billion worth of investment property real estate. So that's pretty much my beginning. I sold that company several years ago, and I've been doing individual assignments for marketing investment property and other types of property since then.
Jack, you sound like you were well beyond your time. You know, it sounds like something that they're probably just they do now, but now obviously with the way computers are, it's a lot more efficient. But that sounds like something that was very innovative at the time.
Well, you know, Rick, I used to write papers for the CCIMs and NAR about what the real estate industry would look like 20 years from now. I can't write a paper now that tells what the real estate industry is going to look like 5 years from now, because things are happening so fast.
Right. Well, it's the day of the electronics. You know, in electronics, they improve and they come up with such incredible things that these computers can do that can make your life so much easier that, it changes on a weekly basis.
Well, you want your head to spin, Rick.
Which it's always spinning, Jack, let me tell you.
Watch. I think it's on CBS on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. Watch Intelligence. And in that show, they've embedded a computer chip in the hero's brain, in his head. And so he's in constant communication and can call on any information on the Internet or the secret Internet, the hidden Internet, as they call it. And this is a step. It's worth watching, if only to get a sense of where we're going. And this is a step towards what a fellow named Ray Kurzweil writes about in a subject topic called the singularity, where computers and technology eventually, and they're creeping up to it, advance to the point where they have more than one desktop has more intelligence than the human brain. And so that's why I can't write articles about what the commercial business will look like 20 years from now.
Yeah, it's incredible that the things that are happening. So, I mean, one of the things that, I want to talk to you about is how has the investment brokerage changed since 1962? What are some of the big changes that you've seen? Obviously, you've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a big difference between running cards through a sorter and punching holes in cards to help brokerage, commercial brokerage. When I first saw a browser at a trade show, I stood back and I went, I said, that is going to change everything, because I had been using the internet and typing in great big long strings of code in order to get to someplace. And when I saw that browser, which made it so easy to just click and go to a place and get information, that was, in my mind, the biggest single one item that changed our industry forever. The use, the technology providing the ease of use in communicating with instant messaging and the internet and email and so forth have been huge changes. And when we look ahead, when people mention 5 to 10 years from now, words like a mouse or reboot or a keypad or Google or a database or a laptop and things like that, people are going to laugh. They're going to say, kids are going to say, what are you talking about? And,
but that's, yeah.
When you talk about a charger or when you talk about an MLS, when they talk about hold your breath, newspapers, that's how rapidly things are going to change in our business. And we just simply have to adapt to it. Not only adapt, but to take advantage of the new things that are coming down the pike.
No, I agree. It's just, and that's not just for the real estate industry. It's almost for all industries. That's just how things are going. The internet has taken over.
Right.
And now you were also They call you the broker with the fuzzy slippers. Now, how did you get a name like that?
Well, when I saw the internet coming along, this was several years after I served as president of the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and some people say, "How many houses have you sold, Jack?" And I say, "None. I've never sold a house, because when I came out of the Navy and started Data Realty, I dove right into income property." Now, the fuzzy slippers comes about because in 1996, after I had sold Data Realty, I built one of the first websites, and I built several systems, which I've perfected over the years, for taking a listing and reaching out to 50,000 commercial investors or commercial brokers with one click of the button. And this is a big difference. These systems are a big difference from, for example, putting a listing on LoopNet or putting it on a page that has a million commercial listings, because the systems that I use put the information on the availability of the property right in the investor's face. He doesn't have to go to a website to search around and look for stuff, because it arrives right on his computer.
So, excuse me one minute.
But to answer your question, so what this does, it gives me the ability to work from this desk on this computer and sell literally billions of dollars worth of real estate without putting my shoes on.
Well, that's nice to be able to do that.
They even invited me when I spoke at.
I hope you have your pants on.
One of the CCIM conferences, I came out with my fuzzy slippers, because that's what they call me.
Yeah, well, like I said, but I hope you have your pants on.
I almost always work with my pants.
Oh, good. But so that's basically you're sort of sending out the personalized information that they're looking for.
Yeah, I have 14 sources when I am either working with another broker to market their property, or I have a property of my own to market. I have 14 places that I go and 14 things that I do in order to give that a maximum exposure. I'll give you an example. I use this I'm not teaching this class anymore, but I taught selling in cyberspace for years. And what we would do in that class, and this gives you a good example of my marketing techniques, we'd take a listing, commercial listing for an investment listing from one of the people in the class. And if there were 50, 60 people in the classes, in the very early on, we just wrote up a quick message about it. And then I'd send it out about 9:30 in the morning. And then about 2:30 in the afternoon, we'd go in and we'd check our messages. And generally, I would have between 40 and 80 responses, either from investors that wanted information on that property or brokers who had people who wanted information. And the philosophy of this marketing technique is that if you can reach a good part of our marketing world, of our real estate investment world, at any one time, and if you can reach enough people at any one time, there are going to be people who have investors for that particular type of property. And it works.
So you're sending it out, and they're finding the buyers for the property for you.
They are, or I am.
Yeah, the buyers.
Or I'm hearing back from the investors.
Right. Well, I mean, that's...
Just as an aside, Rick, years ago, back in 1968, I wrote a book called Income Property Brokerage that came out from Prentice Hall. It went into 14 printings. And about 4 or 5 years ago, Wiley picked this up. It's been selling ever since. And Wiley now publishes it. It's called A Master Guide to Income Property Brokerage. And what we did when they picked it up is we integrated into the 15 or 16 chapters all of the ways to use technology and the internet to beef up what we used to do to get listings, to find buyers, to find sellers, to prepare the property for marketing, to get financing, all of the things that we do. And that book is still selling very, very rapidly by Wiley.
So
it's on Amazon.
Yeah, so I mean, there's the information on cover to cover that most people would be looking for. So if they were
entire marketing plan.
Yeah, so that's basically your marketing plan. You know how to reach out to the clients, investors, and the sellers
and brokers who have investors.
And brokers,
right.
Yeah, which is
many brokers, Rick, come to me and they say, I've got this listing out here, and I'd like to work with you to use your marketing, and we'll joint venture the brokerage. And most of my brokerage now is I'm working with people, and the two of us are working together as a team. And I'm working on, for example, 360 acres of land in Las Vegas. I'm working on 40 acres on the ocean on the east coast of Florida. I sold a hydroelectric dam to a Swiss energy company. Never saw the buyer. I never would have been able to make that connection if it weren't for the internet. And then I sell the normal CVS's and Walgreens and shopping centers. The most recent one we closed a couple of weeks ago was a 75,000 square foot office building in Worcester. And let me tell you a strange thing about this, and I think it tells a lot about using the internet to market commercial properties. We reached out to the world. I mean, we were reaching out to CCIMs, to members of the International Property Division of NAR, with members in all countries. And we reached out with our marketing plan to them, and guess who bought the property? An investor 2 blocks away from it. And how did that buyer find out about it? He found out about it from the internet blast that we did. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to get someone from Mars to buy a local property. We can use these techniques for local marketing also.
Right. So you have a database that basically is a perfect outlet for any type of investment or sale of properties, commercial properties.
I wouldn't call anything that we do in real estate perfect, but I have 14 databases. One in particular is proprietary. I own it. It has 40,000 commercial investors or brokers, and I reach out to that, and it's all automated.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, you started before it was the thing to do, so you had to build up quite a bit from that over the years.
I learned a little bit over the years, Rick.
Yeah, I'm sure.
By the way, I started Data Realty at the same time Rolly Hopkins started the New England Real Estate Journal.
Yeah, and you're both going along strong, huh?
Absolutely. I talk to Rolly every couple of weeks.
Yeah, Rolly's still going strong, too. And the New England Real Estate Journal has just been growing. In the past couple of years, it's been growing in leaps and bounds as well. Now,
you guys do a great job.
Now, where do you think the commercial brokerage industry is going? What's your vision?
Well, it will always be, except for very, very large transactions, a local business. You got to have feet on the ground when you're selling, no matter what the size of the property is. And my technique is I sell properties any place of any size, but I'm always working with someone who is there, someone who's at the property, so that the normal function that I'm using. This is not necessarily what it's going to look like over the next 10 years, but is what I do is I put together the enticing package, not the gross details, but the enticing package, and I reach out to people and I get people interested, and then I get them into the hands of the broker that I'm working with, and what we do is that broker will take it from there to the point where we get an offer, and then together we work on the negotiations and do the close. Now, here's what I think we're going to see. I mentioned the things that we won't see in 10 years, the mouse, the reboot, the MLS, and so forth. But we're going to see more business being done by fewer commercial practitioners, because we have the ability now to conduct so much more business personally than we could without technology. Give you an example. When I had Data Realty, at the height of Data Realty, I had 25 salespeople selling nothing but apartment buildings, shopping centers, office buildings, and so forth, and I had a staff of about 40. It took about 3 years ago, I sold more real estate in a year than all 25 of those brokers in my office at Data Realty did in a year. And I did it in about half of my time. So that's the proof positive that we can accomplish a lot more using technology than we could without it.
So you're saying that the internet is now going to replace brokers?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not even close.
All right.
What I'm saying is that the brokers are going to be using not just the internet, but they're going to be using technology, whatever it is at the time, to make themselves far more efficient than they have been and are now, and that you won't need as many brokers because brokers can accomplish so many sales in a much shorter period of time more efficiently. And I repeat, watch Intelligence on, I think it's CBS, and I know it's on Monday nights at 9 o'clock, and that will give you an idea of where we're going with technology. And then all you need is your imagination watching that to see where we're going in commercial real estate.
I'll have to check it out. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, Jack, how would they do so?
They'd pick up the phone. They'd call me at 617-523-4440, or they would email me at BostonJack, BostonJack, at RCN, that's Roger Charlie Nancy, .com.
Well, we do appreciate you coming on the show, Jack, and you know, if we're going to hold you to some of your the predictions of the future.
Absolutely.
And,
hey, by the way, I should mention, Rick, that there's one other place that they can go to look at some of the tools that I use, and that's www.RECYBER. That's RE Cyber, Real Estate Cyber, RECYBER.com. And three of the tools that I use constantly are there, and they're available if someone wants to subscribe and use them themselves. So between that and the income property brokerage book on Amazon, they're inside my mind.
Great. We appreciate that. We're glad we could get inside your mind today, Jack.
Okay, say hi to Rolly.
I will. Thank you, Jack. That was Jack Peckham, the founder of and CEO of Peckham Boston Advisors, LLC. And our interview was brought to you by Command Security Corporation, is the nation's most trusted and experienced provider of affordable contract security services. Command Security Corporation's offices nationwide and operations at numerous major international airports. They provide complete, customized, and cost-effective security solutions for industries, businesses, institutions, and organizations of all sizes. To find out more how Command Security Corporation can solve your security needs, contact John Dunleavy at 800-791-9102 or go to commandsecurity.com. That's John Dunleavy at 800-791-9102 or go to commandsecurity.com, and we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network. New England's commercial real estate scene is covered right here on the Money Matters Radio Network with Rick Kaplan.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan, and normally Eric Wilson, but Eric Wilson is out sick today, so I'm doing the show solo, and we're coming to the close of our show. But I want to tell you about a great event that comes up. This is in June. It's do you sell to facility managers, building owners, or property managers? See thousands of these decision makers at the Northeast Building and Facilities Management Show, June 18th and 19th at the Boston Convention Center. Go to proexpos.com. That's proexpos.com. And this is a great show. They have a lot of seminars. They have a lot of vendors there. See what's happening in the industry. So if you definitely have to go there. If you need more information, you can contact us at radio@nerej.com, or you can go to proexpos.com, and either one will be more than happy to help you. And I want to thank Jack Peckham. He talked about a lot of the things that he is doing right now, and some things that are coming up in the future, or what he sees for the future. And I also want to thank John Stagnone from the Friends of the State Theater that's being revitalized in Stoughton, Mass. That was always a lot of great information. It's a good project. I also want to mention the North Hartford, Connecticut area, the DONO area, the redevelopment of that area, and they're looking for new developers or investors that want to get involved in projects there. If that's something you're interested, you can contact us at radio@nerej.com, and we'll put you right in touch with the person to speak with about the project. Let's see what we also have. Don't forget about March 20th. March 20th, we have our Cocktails and Conversations coming up at Mr. Sid in Newton, Mass. And that's going to be it's a clothing store, but it also has a hall in there that we're going to have. It has an open bar for you, and we're going to have appetizers. And they're also going to have a little bit of a show, some of the fashions that are trending for men in business today. So if you want to have more information on that, you can contact us at radio@nerej.com, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. This event, February 26th, which is today that we're recording. So when you hear the show, you're probably not going to want to go to that because it's already been passed. March 30th, April 4th, there's a BOMA conference. Again, if you want more information on that, you can contact radio at NERJ.com, and we can definitely give you more of the information we need on that. And this is another great show that's coming up. And this is the third annual HELP Conference. It's April 7th and 8th, and that's at the Seaport Waterfront Hotel. And if you haven't gone to this is a great show to go to. There's a lot of things happening, and they talk all about the hospitality industry. If you're in finance, or if you're a developer, it's a great show. I think that's all. I think that's all of the shows that are all the events that are coming up. And I'd like to thank NEBFM 2014, one of our sponsors. I'd like to thank Command Security Company, corporation, I should say. They're also a sponsor of the show. Goodman, Shapiro, and Lombardi, attorneys for condos. And I also want to thank the New England Real Estate Journal, who actually sponsors the whole show. And they are bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And I think this deal is done.
It's New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network.